Hi, I'm Joe Freeman. This is Mike Richmond of the Oregonian and Oregon Live, and we're both wearing hats. We're also coming to you on, what is today? Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We're Tuesday from the practice facility in Tualatin. The Blazers have just finished up exit interviews following a 41-41 season in which they were swept in the first round of the playoffs against the Golden State Warriors. A wide range of emotions. We talked to about, I'd say, 10 players and Terry Stotts, and a very long 54-minute and enlightening conversation with President of Basketball Operations Neil Olshey. Again, a wide range of emotions, but the biggest, I guess, takeaway I got from the players in particular was one of disappointment.
Yeah.
You kind of look at this season through a prism of two sides. They underperformed. They didn't live up to their expectations they had coming into the year. And then all of a sudden they made a major trade. Everybody caught in their fever. They finished strong, made the playoffs. So you can kind of take the season one of two ways. I think more than anything, the Blazers took the first part of the season.
Yep.
They left, I think, hungrier, a little more bitter, and knowing that they have a lot of work to do. It would be impossible for us to summarize everything that went on today, but there are several highlights. I don't know if you want to start with some of the players or where you want to go first next.
Yeah, I think some of the big takeaways is that almost every player that walked in there, and the first question that you get in these type of scenarios is so and so. What do you think of the season? And every player, almost to a T, said it was up and down. I think what they meant is down and up, but that's not how they
semantics.
Yeah, not how they were going to say it. But like Joe was saying, I think a lot of guys were focusing on that really brutal first 50 games of the season where they almost cost themselves a chance to the playoffs, and certainly cost themselves a chance to be competitive in the playoffs because Golden State is just that good.
One thing they did say they took away from that is the importance of starting stronger next year, because this is the second consecutive season this has happened for the Blazers, don't forget. Youngest team in the league. I think that's one area they've identified that they have to be better at next year, because if they were better, you are staring at maybe a 5 seed, then you're facing a 4 seed, and you have a lot better chance in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Some other good highlights. Almost everybody said the most impressive player on the team was, no surprise, Jusuf Nurkic. A media member relayed that to him, and Jusuf Nurkic said, "I'm not surprised they picked me." He has a special blend of sort of confidence and bravado that you see when he plays, and you see it in his interviews. His health and his growth this offseason is paramount. Damian Lillard talked about staying on Jusuf so he's responsible and does what he's supposed to do in the offseason. A big theme from Damian's media availability session was accountability, holding the team accountable and having guys be accountable for what they need to do before the season starts so they don't start out 11 games after under 500 and have to climb up from a huge hole.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. One thing this team is known for is its strong culture, and there was kind of a sentiment of, is this team too nice in a certain way, and Damian kind of touched on that, saying, at some level we're going to need to demand more of each other, and again, these are a lot of guys, and Neil kind of pointed this out, in the grand scheme of things, this is year two of what was a pretty significant roster rebuild. That got inflated last year when they went to the second round of the playoffs, but it still remains. And I think they're identifying things like that they need to instill with this roster moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, Blazers have 3 first-round draft picks this year, 15,
20, and 26.
20 and 26. Odds are they don't use them all.
Yeah.
However, Neil talked about the draft, said it's kind of reached mythic proportions of how good it is. He kind of backed off saying that, but he did say he's intrigued by its depth. And there are a few teams that maybe don't have picks that the Blazers could dangle some or one or more of their picks to these teams to facilitate a deal. So when you're looking at how this roster can change, how it can get better this season, they're looking at a lot of internal organic growth from the youngest roster in the NBA. They're looking forward to playing a full, healthy season with Jusuf Nurkic, and I think that's their avenue to make a deal, to get better outside the organization, is to package some of those picks along with some of their players to make a change in that area. Because otherwise, free agency is going to be very quiet for this team. The only avenue they have as a team over the luxury tax is, what did he call it?
It's the taxpayer mid-level exception. It's basically a slightly more than the veteran minimum, maybe twice as much as the veteran minimum, to get a bench type player to fill a role, it's not that enticing. Portland has had trouble getting free agents for life, and they don't exactly have a bunch of cash to dangle. And Neil, when someone asked him, what assets do you have to sort of make moves in free agency, he said, none.
So going back to the original point, you guys are surely disappointed today to see the season end with so much hope and expectations, to end with a sweep. Just the second time in franchise history the team has been swept in a 7-game series in the playoffs. And this team shared your sentiment.
Yeah.
They did hang on to that nugget of we did close well, and that is something to hang your hat on. But I think what we saw this year will carry over to next year from their perspective in a positive way. I don't know when we'll talk to you next, maybe around the NBA draft, maybe in a pre-draft workout, the first of which we learned is June 7th. So perhaps we'll talk to you then. Enjoy the offseason.